So, what do you say after that introduction? I'm just putting my timer up here because I was told Saturday night, it is Saturday, right? I've been traveling all week and I was told not to go too long. But so I'm going to need your help a little bit because I have literally been on a different city every day and I'm a little low on energy, so I'm going to ask you a couple questions at times, and that means you have to answer, and I'm going to try to get your opinion on some things, so I want to get your help. But first, I'm not going to do all the thanks because you heard a lot of thanks, except what was fun for me watching that video was how many of those events I was at with NPA and with GRO. And it was really great to watch, long before most of the country was talking about banks, the showdown in Chicago. And that was led by this organization and NPA. And the showdown on K Street, and then the march on the JP Morgan meeting, all of those things I'm proud to have marched with you. And it rained on all of them. That's the other thing I noticed as I was watching the video. The only thing I just wanted, before I get into what I was going to talk about, is mention, you said that people got pepper sprayed at JP Morgan, but I don't think you really captured what happened. Which is, we were standing there outside of it, they brought in horses, they pepper sprayed folks, they knocked them down. And to me, that was a critical moment in what's developing, because it was a time that it became clear that we're entering a different stage of the battle that you referred to. When the police do the work of JP Morgan and bring horses in to move people out of the way with no warning, when they pepper spray people with no warning, this may sound crazy to you, but then I said, that's a good sign. Because it means somebody is getting mighty nervous about what's going on. Now, before I get started, I need to ask you, I want to do a little vote here. Now, some of you said to me that you, because it's about democracy, that you looked at my you looked me up on the internet, and we alluded to some of the bad things people have said about me, and I noticed this is being taped. And every time I do a meeting with NPA or any of their affiliates and give a speech, I get worked up, and somebody tapes it, and then it ends up on YouTube, and then I just get lambasted. So I need your help in this. So Glenn Beck, you may know, has a whole campaign that I'm the most evil guy in America. I'm an economic terrorist. I'm more dangerous than Osama bin Laden was. That's what he says. And then there's a whole other thing, big government. There's all these people that are always saying I'm a terrible guy because I'm against big banks controlling the country. And in all seriousness, they have, calling my house, threatening to kill me. I mean, it really is quite intense because they're terrified about what's going on. Now, so I need to ask you, should I give the sedate speech that won't get me in trouble? No. So you're going to have my back when they come after me. Yeah. So here's my problem is, I've been to Boston, New York, Chicago, Minneapolis, and somewhere else in the last couple days, and in my head, I can't get out of my head all the chants. It's almost like it's like hypnotic. And so I just want to do a guess here. So what are some of the chants you think that I've been hearing, and again and again and again, until like my brain is going crazy? Okay, so let's try that first just as a group, because I don't think we've done that here yet, have we?
We're saving it for you.
Okay, so just remind me, what have I heard again and again? Let's just hear what you can do here. No, the 99% one. This is driving me. No, we are the 99%. It's not complicated. They just hear, we are the 99%. We are the 99%. We are the 99%. On and on and on and on. And I'm convinced we are the 99%. And we've been chanting bust up big banks. And we've been chanting one that I didn't do before, which was, what do you do when the banks attack?
Stand up, speak out,
Fight back. What do you do when the banks attack?
Fight back.
What do you do when the banks attack?
Fight back.
Okay. So, just want to make sure. So I had for like 2 years a standard speech I gave, and it always had the same thing. Times are tough. History's on our side. It's going to get better. We're going to build a movement. So I got to, as you can see, this is not a script. I get to throw that one away, because after 2 years of going to meeting after meeting saying, it's going to get better, we're going to build a movement, what is happening in this country right now? Well, two things are happening. What is happening in terms of our movement? It is the most extraordinary. Let me just ask you, and we're going to be honest, if we had this meeting 3 months ago, or 2 months ago, and I asked you to raise your hand and say, who would think we were winning? Who would have raised their hand then? 3 months ago, if I asked you who was feeling hopeful, who would have raised their hand? But as you look at what's going on around the country, who here is feeling hopeful today? Yeah. Who feels that we've gone from defense to offense? Yeah. Who feels that there's a moment in history where the world is turning in our favor? Yes. Because I had this incredible experience. You may have seen me look at my phone, and I didn't want to be rude, but my son's in New York City, and he's been texting me from New York all day, starting at 6 in the morning. Do people know what happened in New York at 6 this morning? Everybody know? No? So they announced they were going to shut down Zuccotti Park.
Yep.
And all night people went to work, phone calls, petitioning, getting ready, and when they were at 6 in the morning, 5,000 people showed up at Zuccotti Park. They linked arms, and they said, "You're not going to shut it down." And guess what happened? And then Mayor Bloomberg all of a sudden said, "Okay, we're going to let you stay." So there's two parts of this that are important. One is people power.
That's right.
But then for me personally, this wonderful thing of having my son call me up and give me the update. And then he called me a couple hours later and he said, "And now we're at a meeting of all students in Washington Square Park, and there's 2,000. And then he just called me back, or texted me back, and said, "We're in Times Square, and there's 8,000 people." All in the same day. And so I think the moment where we are, and I want to challenge you, because you've done great work, but we're at a moment in history where our future will be decided. And the world is going to either get much better or much worse. And that means that all of us have a responsibility and an opportunity at the same time. And if we don't seize it, it's shame on us. But if we do seize it, we can transform this world. We can do something extraordinary. Because never in recent history has so much happened so quickly. In Boston, we had a week of action just the other week, where with NPA, with other community groups. And just to give you an example of the kinds of things, because I'm giving you a report now, this is my accountability session, you can then tell me if I did a good job. So they started off with a funny little thing. They went into the Chamber of Commerce meeting, and everybody dressed up as waiters and waitresses. So then security didn't stop them because they thought they were servants. And you know how rich folks are, the servants are here, I'm not worried. And so they had little muffins they were giving out, and they had flags in them. And they said, "Bank of America, bad for America." But they lasted like 10 or 15 minutes because all the executives just figured, well, they're dressed like waiters and waitresses, they must be working for us. And they didn't even know to kick them out. And then we decorated all the bus stops to look like homeless shelters to symbolize foreclosed homes. And then we had a march with 3,000 strong, and 25 people sat down and blocked all the doors to the Bank of America building and were non-violently arrested. And then the next day, we went to a home that Deutsche Bank had illegally foreclosed on, and we moved a family into that house and had 500 people on the street, and they stayed in that house. And Deutsche Bank can't move them out because they can't even prove they own the building because they robo-signed it. And we moved the family into it. And we said it's a crime that houses are sitting empty, that banks can't prove they own, while people don't have places to live. And then we went to Chicago. And in Chicago, 7,000 people marched in the streets of Chicago. And then day after day, there was a sit-in by NPA at the Mortgage Bankers Association, and people were arrested, and 50 Robin Hoods in kayaks canoed down the river. And they said it's time that we take the money from the big banks and give it to people. And then people brought garbage from blighted neighborhoods, and they delivered it to Bank of America. And they dumped it in the Bank of America, and they said, you got to start cleaning up your mess. And then we went up to Minneapolis, and we had 1,000 people, and we marched on Wells Fargo, and we wanted to do a sit-in, but we couldn't. You know why? They locked the building down. They locked the building down. We had 50 people. They had been trained in nonviolent civil disobedience. They were so scared. They kept saying, "I've never been arrested, but it's time to take that risk." And we get there, the building's locked. We can't get in. So then we said, we're going to have a sit-in. So 1,000 people sit in the street. And then the police say, "Well, we're not going to arrest you." And everybody said, "Well, we practiced, we did the lawyers advised us, we got our courage up. What do you mean you're not going to arrest us?" And I think they sort of agreed with us. So we ended up sitting there for a while, and then we all marched down to join the folks that occupied Minneapolis. But what was so exciting is in city after city, hundreds and now thousands and now tens of thousands of people are doing incredible things. And you know, I don't know, I lost track of all the speaker thing. You just said, or Sherman said about President Obama. Front page of the Washington Post today, President Obama to run for president on why Wall Street is bad for America.
It's about time.
See, I'm the optimist. Let me just tell you an incredible story. We had a meeting with NPA and a bunch of groups a year ago, and we said, how would we know we're winning? And we said we would know we're winning is if in every state in the country in 2011, how would we know we're winning? This is a year ago. This is one of the rare times we're right when we make a prediction, so I have to vote. We said, if we had thousands of people every week in the streets, and every presidential candidate was talking about us, and the President of the United States said it's about Wall Street, we know we're winning. And so we said that, everybody said, you're crazy, that won't happen. So today, when I got that newspaper and saw that, I realized that we have turned the corner. And we've gone from losing to winning. So it's a pretty amazing thing. So what I want to just, in the few minutes I've left, just talk a little bit about what we have to do next. Because I don't know how closely you're following. Did you hear that it spread all over the world today? You know there's an Occupy Montreal? You know there's an Occupy... My son has sent me a thing from Spain. Hundreds of thousands of people in the street. It is so extraordinary. Students going on student strikes. There's student meetings right now planning occupations of campuses. That little town, small town, Bismarck, North Dakota, Twin Falls, Montana. It is just like blooming. Now we could say it's spontaneous and overnight, but does anybody here really believe that?
No.